What is up guys, Jarv here, and we're back again covering some Destiny. Now in this video today we're actually taking a look at some recent Destiny 3 leaks and how these potentially could influence the future of the franchise. So we're going to be breaking those down in this video today. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a rating on this one, that super helps me out around here. And if you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button as well. But without further delay, let's jump into this one. So over the last couple of weeks and months we've seen some details emerge here and there around Destiny 3, and Destiny 3 isn't something that's been officially announced by Bungie, but of course we've been seeing a few leaks from Redditor Anon9 and more recently 4chan. Now Anon clarified that next year's expansion will likely feature a release and content schedule similar to Forsaken's, with a big expansion in September followed by smaller pieces of content similar to the annual pass that we have now. It's thought for Destiny 3 that Christopher Barrett will be directing this one, with Luke Smith taking up a big role at Bungie. Now alongside the Anon leaks we've also had some from 4chan, as I said, and together these links are actually linked together in some ways, so we're going to check those out and break them down. So 4chan's most recent leak has a substantial amount of bullet points associated to it. So what I've done here is taken those bullet points, overlapped what we've learned from Anon, and then delved into any transcripts, lore and grimoire just to see if we can fill this out and dot the I's and cross the T's, just to see how realistic some of these claims actually are. Now I will post a link to 4chan's Reddit post in the video description below, so feel free to check that out as we go along. Now the first point we make here is that the Darkness is a race of interdimensional beings known as the Veil. Now the Veil isn't something that I've been able to find in any grimoire, any transcripts or any lore, so it's something that's completely new as far as we're concerned and hasn't yet been covered in any previous aspects of the game. Now Destiny 3's storyline is thought to be around the second collapse, with the Veil wanting to use the light to resurrect the Formless One. Now the Formless One is actually referenced in some parts of the game. You have to go back to Destiny 1 and you have to look at some of the armor pieces from the King's Fall raid, specifically the Warlock, and these are the gauntlets and the bond itself. So if you look at the flavor text for the gauntlets, for example, this reads, "At the beginning they stood in a thrall of the Formless One and they offered themselves to its death." And then for the bond it says they had a choice. They chose the hunger, they chose the Formless One, they chose the Worm Gods. And those are the only two references I've been able to find for the Formless One. Other than that we have no details, but the fact that it is in the game in some context is a positive to take from that point. So the next point we cover off is a brand new Darkness element. It's a brand new gameplay which focuses on faction orientated gameplay between the Light and the Dark Guardians. So Guardians will have their abilities expanded to include powers of the Darkness, which could also mean new supers and subclasses. So those were both 2 points that were referenced by Anon and 4chan, so those reference the same key part that they feel is going to be linked to Destiny 3. Now from here, the Cabal and the Fallen are no longer enemy races. These are replaced by the Veil that we've spoken about already, a brand new massive enemy race. Now the Veil will have more combatants than any enemy race combined, and the Cabal and Fallen are now allied with the city. Now we've been allied with members of the Fallen before, which aren't part of a Fallen house, but I don't know how that's going to play out in terms of being allied with all Fallen, and especially Cabal, especially as we've just come out of the Red War with a major faction of the Cabal. So it's an interesting point that they make there. Now the Vex, Hive and Taken will return. Veil and Aphelion are two new enemy races coming to Destiny 3. Now Aphelion are the most dangerous race in the game, and they are effectively glass cannons, and they have the ability to suppress your abilities and nullify resurrection. So I'll pop a link in the video description below, but if you head over to Destiny Wiki there is a little bit of detail about Aphelion as a race. Now very little has been revealed about their nature though, but it has been stated that they are extremely dangerous, malevolent and stealthy beings. They have claimed the lives of many Awoken, including the inhabitants of the RSS Mistress, 3 Techians and possibly the Queen's Wrath, Shur Ido. Now there are references in Forsaken regarding Aphelion. If you've done any of the pilgrimages, Shurochi will actually have a little bit of a transcript, and she covers the Aphelion on multiple occasions. One of them actually reads, "We Tekins are taught absolute obedience to our queen. We have no desires but what our queen desires. We have no fears but what our queen fears. Good traits, but weaknesses against certain enemies, like the Taken, like the Aphelion." So that's just one of the references, but there are multiple within the game currently. So the next point we have here, guys, is Xivu Arath has a huge role to play. Now Xivu Arath is a god of war and a hive knight, and the youngest sister of Savathûn and Oryx the Taken King. So together with her two siblings, she is the progenitor and the contemporary hive species and one of the chief gods, having made a pact with the Worms of Fundament originally. So she's driven to become the mightiest warrior in the universe, and after the hive's conquest of harmony, Xivu Arath and her hive left the siblings for deep space, claiming Oryx had grown too powerful for her to accept. So there are most definitely references to her in the game, so that is quite plausible, but I'd be interested to see what you guys think in the comments section below. So moving on from here, guys, the 9 are now big players in the game. We get to meet them face to face after the Veil take the system, and Callus has also got a massive role now and leads a new faction called the Shadow Faction. Now factions now grant you specialised abilities and powers. Certain factions such as Veil's Hand allows you to wield darkness powers. Now the game opens up with a massive war campaign. The Traveller is critically injured and overwhelmed at the beginning. So Europa, Old Chicago, Venus and the Hallowed Spire, those are game-based worlds now, and in the story the darkness completely decimates the city and the entire Earth itself. So that statement there is also linked to the Anon the 9 leak, which was a few months back now, where he teased Europa as a Destiny 3 location, and we can see Europa as a location in some of the original Destiny concept art. So along from here, Guardians will get pushed into the solar system now, and will have to kill the Entombed, which are the 7 leaders of the Veil. Now for me, I just feel that seems a little bit too similar to the Forsaken campaign, where we had to hunt down 9 leaders to get redemption for Cade's death. So let me know what you think, guys, in the comment section below regarding that one. So the Hallowed Spire then, this is a big new endgame zone similar to the Dreaming City, and that is where a lot of PvP faction gameplay is going to take place. So it's basically an alien city that the Deep and Formless One originated from. So each planet is larger than that of D2, and there's a plethora of things to do such as dungeons and holds. And this is where we go back to Anon, because he claimed that in Destiny 3 we'll have some PvEVP zones where players will be able to fight for territory while also taking on AI enemies. Now it's not like the Darkness Zone is what he claimed, but those holds are specifically something that we use to gain and lose territory, so possibly that's what these two leakers are referencing. So going back to the Veil then, they are enemies that can drastically affect your abilities and their surrounding environment. Bungie are pushing for a greater variety in PvE gameplay, with the Veil being able to suppress light abilities, and they can also bend and nullify gravity in areas that surround them. So if they are a true enemy type, they sound absolutely insane, and it's something that I want to see for myself. Now the game is thought to ship with 2 massive raids. Now the first one takes place in the heart of the Hallowed Spire, where you'll face down the Formless One at the heart of the Deep itself. It's thought to be a 12-man raid, with the grand finale triggering the Second Collapse storyline. The second raid is thought to be focused around the Hive. So let me know what you guys think on 2 raids launching when the game launches, and especially a 12-man activity, because we've not seen that from a PvE perspective before, and most teams struggle to get 6 together, let alone 12, so I'd be interested to see what you guys think there. And moving on, so Guardians can represent a number of factions that include Future War Cult, New Monarchy, Dead Orbit, Veil's Hand, Emperor's Shadow and the House of Judgment. Trials of the 9 is returning, hosted by the 9 themselves this time, and they'll also head up their own faction, which is based around ranking up Trials specifically. So that's pretty cool, because we need a pinnacle PvP activity. And finally, guys, Destiny 3 is being developed to return to a form for hardcore players and veterans of the series, and this mirrors exactly what Anon was saying a few months back, where the game will represent another commitment for Destiny hardcore players, giving it a greater sense of the direction that Forsaken took us in. So interestingly, Bungie will be investing even more in the RPG side of Destiny, and for me that's a fantastic change, and it's a much needed change to the game. But yeah, that's a quick rundown of everything we've learned from 4chan and Anon over the last couple of weeks and months. So let me know in the comment section below, guys, what you think of that and how plausible you think any of those points are, and the likeliness of us seeing those in Destiny 3 whenever that may be. But yeah, that's going to sum up the video for today, guys. As I said, if you enjoyed it, feel free to leave a rating on this one. That super helps me out here on the channel. And if you are brand new here and want to see even more Destiny content, then be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out as well. I'm going to jump back into the game like you guys, and I will catch you all again very soon. Peace.